So, yeah. All right. Well, we've got some technical problems. So, anyways, I'm going to let you guys talk for a little bit.
Okay, so we're going to reveal the fact that we have that computer from that game show on television, the one that beat the two humans. We have that here.
Watson?
Where did you pick that up, at a yard sale someplace?
Yeah, really.
So the computer, Watson the computer, is now sitting in the corner, and if we get stuck for like a movie name or something like that, we can just go to the to Watson the computer, and we'll have our watch squared away. All right,
so talk to us about these bills.
Well, my name's Ed Naile. I'm chairman of the Coalition of NH Taxpayers. It's like I'm testifying on a bill. And the only thing I shouldn't say is this is WLNW 90.7 FM New Hampshire Taxpayer Radio.
Because it's not anymore.
But we have a couple of bills that came before the House of Representatives, where we have a what we hope is a very friendly election law committee. And on Thursday, we had 7 solid hours of telling each other wild stories, which is called testimony, on House Bill 223 and 176, I think they are. And one bill has the mission of defining domicile. Domicile is in our Constitution, Article 12. If you look it up in the first sentence, it says anyone who has attained the age of 18 may vote in any election in the state. And there's like a little comma thing you'll see in sentences if you're aware of the English language that says, and the town, ward, or city in which they are domiciled. And domiciled is a fancy word. It's right there, stuck in the Constitution. Domicile means your legitimate place where you live. Like if you were going to be served a warrant, and the SWAT team was going to pick you up someplace, they would go look at your domicile first. You may reside in a hotel, you may reside in your summer house, you may stay with your parents or reside out of state somewhere on a job, but you are domiciled in one place. That's where your driver's license is from. So over the years, we have slowly changed the definition of domicile to, if you're here going to college, you can vote here and then keep your domicile in another state. Well, that's unconstitutional, and we've been complaining about this for a long time, that the college students get rounded up on election day, because we have same-day voting, and hauled down, and they allow them to vote, and then they, I don't know whether they haul them back to their places of residence in the college or not, but it puts quite a load on our electoral process here in the state of New Hampshire. You wind up with thousands of people registered to vote in a town with just a couple thousand people in it, because they stay on the rolls for 10 years. Actually, this is the year we purge all the non-domiciled voters off our list. Well, starting in 2001, the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers decided to, since we heard all these stories about voter fraud over the years, we were going to track voter fraud in New Hampshire, and we had a meeting at our CNHT headquarters down in Concord. I still have the minutes.
I think my mic, no, I thought it was working. I just sound weird. Maybe it's my headphones.
We're all set?
Do I sound weird? I mean,
normally.
Why wouldn't I be here if I was sounding normal? I'd be somewhere else.
Yeah, let me break in here. By the way, folks, if you want to join in the conversation, we do have a call-in number, and that is 603-524-7478. Again, 603-524-7478. And you can always send us an email at GrokTALK@GraniteGrok.com, and hopefully we'll even answer it. So I'm going to ask my two guests. You see one of these things kind of blinking? Dust blinking lights?
I see a couple blinking lights, but they're green.
No, there's, well, if you see the red and they're blinking really quickly.
Okay, like the phone's ringing?
Yeah, the phone's ringing. Let me know and I will bring them on. I've ordered a couple of strobe lights so that it will get my attention, because sort of like my peripheral vision stops right about here. They're over here. It doesn't work too well. You don't see them. Because, you know, either that or I can just take the mic and I can just watch these all day long and I can just ignore you because now you're both out of my peripheral.
And then everybody gets to watch the back of your head for 2 hours?
Yeah, no, not so much.
So Ed's going to keep going on this, but for those of you who aren't sure what he means, this is the New Hampshire's voting process is the love the one you're with approach, whereas, you know, while you're not with the one you love, you can just, wherever you happen to be standing on election day is your domicile if you're in New Hampshire.
That's what I'd like it to be. In 2008, I guess, 2006, 2008, when Democrats really took control of the state, they watered down our election laws to allow non-residents to vote easier. And we have these two other entities. One's called the Attorney General's Office, and the other one's its partner and sister is the Secretary of State's office. And they don't prosecute, investigate, want to know anything at all about voter fraud. I'm only saying this because it's a fact, and I've brought stuff to them for 10 years and they don't act on it. And it's in historic proportions. So we've collected this voter fraud over the years. And one of my favorites is, and now you have to understand how the process works. But we found in 2001, we got a hold of some voters that were voting in Deerfield, New Hampshire, on a road called Bear Brook Road. 156 Bear Brook Road.
I gotta get cozy with that.
And
You're friends.
yeah,
We are.
156 Bear Brook Road does not exist because there is no Bear Brook Road in Deerfield, New Hampshire. Never has been. I went down to the town hall and actually made them tell me that.
That's like Durham Mountain Road here in Guilford.
It has a sign.
Yeah, it doesn't go all the way through like the GPSs think
Okay.
they do.
Well, this one is completely fabricated. Well, let's say 19 people, 16 or 19, I always forget the number. I'll dig it up this one of these days, voted on that road. And they did that in 1996 in a presidential election. But when the votes got purged, when the voters' list got purged in 2000, that's when we wound up with them. So these letters all came back in 156 or 159 Bear Brook Road, and all these different names. And we went and got the same-day registration cards from those voters, and it said this person came from Indiana, you know, and voted there same day. So when I got all of them together, I said, wow, all these people are living at one address that doesn't exist. You would think that's voter fraud. Well, what happened was these were AmeriCorps workers. And let's flash forward to 2011. Let's call it Acorn. These are AmeriCorps workers / Acorn living in a camp, working somewhere in Deerfield and Suncook. And since they're federal employees and they were here working, they decided to vote. They all went down to Deerfield and voted, and no one put up a fuss.
And this is what some of the problems are with same-day registration.
Right, and then the AG's office doesn't find it, prosecute it. We found it. So that really piqued my interest, and we've been picking up more voter fraud ever since. Same type of stuff, but it's hard to deny. So what I did was, and this is called street justice, I put their names on the internet, and I wrote an article for NHinsider.com, and if you look at my name, I get quite a few hits. So I guess as these kids, these former AmeriCorps workers were Googling their name now and then, they would come up with an article written by Ed Naile that called them a low-life, vote-stealing, scumbag, thief, schmuck, felon, and they would respond to me by email saying that I was completely wrong, and they were serving their country by working for AmeriCorps, cleaning trails and whatever they were doing. And I'd say, okay, well, what's your driver's license say? Where did you live? Well, we were actually living in Suncook, or we were in a tent. We were here. Well, so why did you give a false address to a campaign official? See,
That must have made their eyes bug out.
yeah, and I'd tell them, they kept it up for a while. They emailed me for a while. About 3 or 4 of the group caught on. And I said, well, have your dad sue me because I've just called you a felon. Have your dad sue me. Here's my address. And then I'll get discovery, and we can go to court, and we'll find out where you really were from and what your driver's license said. And we can go through this. And none of them email me anymore.
Oh.
I know, it's sad. I was like friended before there was even Twitter, stuff like that. I was friended by these guys.
Friended or frenemies?
Yeah. Anyway, so we've been hauling this stuff to the Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State, trying to get some activity. I've gone in there with lists of students who have registered in Durham same day, and then a year and a half later they get picked up by the Durham police for internal possession, riot, stuff like that. And the Durham police get their driver's license, says it's from the town they came from back when they registered same day.
Which means that they violated the law that way, because if your domicile has changed, you're supposed to register and get your new license 90 days?
60 days.
60 days.
So we could change that to 10 days would be nice, So, you go in, now we have all these bills to try and clean this up. Now we have a Republican legislature, and we have a Republican, hopefully, Republican-thinking election law committee that will endeavor to change this. And that's what this big hearing was about on Tuesday. There was one, and Thursday there was one that lasted 7 hours. And I guess we come back from a break, we can pick up on that?
We can absolutely do that, folks, because this is just something that really hits home, because this is where retail politics exists here in the country, here in New Hampshire, because we are such a small state, small number of people. Everybody gets a vote, and everybody gets to determine and run things, basically. We are a citizen legislature. We basically are all volunteers in our towns.
And when you have towns with only, a couple hundred people in them or a couple thousand people in them, 19 or 20 votes changes an election.
Oh, absolutely. When you think of, unfortunately, how few people oftentimes do come and vote, that is a problem. And the percentages are very small, but so are the absolute numbers. And you're absolutely right to keep on using that word, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes. But, and this is the thing, you go to the college towns and all over, and there are problems because a few hundred college students will make a huge difference. But there's the music once again, and it's time for another break. I'm Skip Murphy. We're talking with Ed Naile of CNHT. Steve McDonald is in the house, fellow Grokster. We're going to be talking about voting and the man who cannot be named. He who cannot be named. Yes,
Watson the computer.
Watson the computer. All right, folks, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Voldemort.
Oh, I know those because a few hundred college students will make a huge difference. But there's the music once again, and it's time for another break. I'm Skip Murphy. We're talking with Ed Naile of CNHT. Steve McDonald is in the house, fellow Grokster. We're going to be talking about voting and the man who cannot be named. He who cannot be named. Yes,
Watson the computer.
Watson the computer. All right, folks, we'll be back in a few minutes.